Hello, welcome to this video. Thank you so much for tuning in, sharing in this now moment with myself and with one another. If you haven't seen these videos before, welcome back. If you have, my intention is unity and oneness. I'm just going to invite everybody to take a nice deep breath in, drop into the body, drop into the heart space, feel the breath moving in the lungs, filling up the body. Exhale, let everything go. We're going to go into a little short burst. I'm going to see if I can do this in 15-20 minutes, the time that I have with the guides. I will be doing an energetic update next. I'm not sure which order I'm going to post these in, but we're just thinking out loud here. So this is meant to be felt, not necessarily understood on a linear basis. And as I drop into this field, this space that is within me, I feel into the field that I am within. I feel into the space of expansiveness that holds me, that is receptive to my needs, and looks a certain, I'm seeing so many things. It looks like a lot of things. We are invited to look in. And the more we look in within, as we drop in that which we are looking at and through, that which we are looking up that comes up to us to view. It's play on words, like it's up to us to view it, but it's coming up from us so that we can see it. We not only have things that come up from within us, but we begin to see things that show up for us on our paths that we are all walking together. And this field holds a cohesiveness, especially when we hold a cohesiveness in togetherness. What shows up for us, sorry, I got a little distracted there, in our paths, we have asked for oftentimes. It does not always show up for us in the way in which we have asked. And we are being invited to recognize that in the asking, there is an energetic shifting. There is a frequency of, in some cases, curiosity. There is a question being offered out into the field or the space that is yet to be revealed. Although we might say all answers do come from within. As I, or we, as a collective of energy and frequency that is pouring into this human vessel, one might say, there is a collective of frequencies and energies that allow for a broader range of frequencies to be interpreted. And through this interpretation that I am providing, or we are providing as a collective, again, of frequencies and energies, certain interpretations of the environment that we see through the memory complex and through the understanding of Carrie allows for a deeper understanding potentially of what is being offered or varied, the variety of offerings in the field of one another. And this is how many people use their psychic abilities, if we choose to call it that, to read the field. They are actually opening to an energetic component within that allows them to direct their questions, their observations, their energy in a particular directive force and tune in to that arena, if you will, play on words. It allows for a different spectrum to be accessed, a different place on the map or the chart of the individual that is doing the asking or the individual that the attunement is taking place with. For when we each peer into each other's field, we are actually peering into the field that we are all part of with each other. There is no separation. There is only a division in thought and a division in the physicality, so to speak, in which we interact with one another in this reality. And so many of you are beginning to sync up with these realizations, maybe, or perhaps not with other humans or peering into what we would refer to as their field, but we are starting to feel more into our own resonance that allows us to harmonize and attune into the potentials that are unfolding all around us, to peer into the past, if you will, as a time traveler would. For every time we look back through the looking glass, if you will, we are peering into a reality that is no separate from this time dimension that we are in now. Although it was then, therefore, what it holds is a certain frequency or value. I'm seeing that has to do with mathematics and waves that allows us to interpret the meaning, the memory, the thought that's attached or associated with that particular stream, reality, dimension, or picture from the past. It works in the same way with the future, except things have shifted. And now the way in which we tune into the future must be more now in the present moment. For the way in which we interact with time is changing. It's changing our directive, what we are directing our reality to look like, feel like, and unfold into is shifting. Therefore, the way in which we are interacting with the field is shifting. Therefore, our potentials of our future are shifting now, now, now. So it made me be slightly more difficult to read a specific timeline. I'm seeing like a wormhole because everything is shifting almost immediately for many beings that are here now. And while this is difficult to explain in outside of a quantum way, or in a linear way, we invite all who are listening to feel into their own ability to tune into the field that we are all poured into. If anything, for the sheer purpose of feeling. So they're just saying for the sheer purpose of feeling and opening to that feeling. For as we move through the field and as we give ourselves the ability and opportunity to feel what the field is offering, we give our offerings. I'm seeing us laying out, giving an offering, thankfulness. We're giving, that's a play on words, ring, the ring, the rose, the ring around the rose, the heart frequency, because we are becoming more in step with what it is that we are stepping towards, what we are stepping into, what we are stepping through. And let us address for a moment the harmonization that many are feeling and the disharmonization that many are feeling. For many are feel as if they are stepping on sticky traps. They feel as if they are constantly having to reorganize and reassess. And we would venture to say that this is true for many of you. And this is something we encourage you to do in this poetic way. For the sticky traps that we have all attached ourselves to are starting to lose their stickiness. But many of us think we are still trapped within the same stickiness that the old reality or old memory complexes. Let's say, I'm just seeing a kind of like a myriad of ways to express this. Basically, it's dimensional existence, how we used to behave, how we used to operate. And many of us are feeling stuck, even if we really aren't. Some of us are stuck because we're being invited to look at our reality in a different way. And until we do that, we cannot move away from what it is that we are holding ourselves accountable to. And that's a play on words. So maybe that'll go into that in a different video. And so we invite everyone to begin to open, to begin to breathe, to begin to interact and weave with your reality in a co-creative and interactive way, allowing more of what you wish to say from the deep recesses of your inner landscape, heartscape, imagination, so that we can move into, I'm hearing this escape, get out of the escape room. Like we don't have to escape from our reality. What we've asked for is here now. We just have to recognize that. And this leads back to the beginning part of this message where the guides were talking about asking for, when we ask for something into the field. So if I'm doing a reading for someone and I ask for information around something that would be helpful for them, for their own growth, it's the asking that opens that up. So part of this is about asking for assistance, not necessarily from myself or another human, although that's important also. You know, sometimes it's important to ask for help from friends or family members, or to just request, is what I'm hearing, that you be felt or held space for or listened to, but not from a place of I'm hearing inebriation and enableization, meaning, and that's, I think, another play on words, like we're not continually asking for help because we're a victim. We're asking for help because we're curious about how we can move through this in a better way or together, or we're asking for a different perspective so we can slightly shift our perspective in that moment. But I'm hearing asking you shall receive. The next message of this, of course, is being open for the receiving, because a lot of times we ask for help and it is given, right? I'm remembering, like, that's an old Wayne Dyer book. But then we end up almost rebuking, is the word that I'm hearing, that assistance from the universe, from a friend. It's maybe because it's not what we want to hear. Maybe and in some cases, it isn't necessarily the advice that we're being given. It's the sharing and exploration of asking the question. Oh, I'm being reminded about my friend Jess and Candace. So I'm going to come back to that. I think this is a video I need to talk about in more depth. So it's a little bit about, or a lot about, just the asking, because sometimes we get our own answers. But if we're not asking, then we're just kind of going through the motions in some cases. And when we're in flow, it doesn't mean we don't ask. It's open, being curious, open, be curious, be receptive to receive, because we might not think we need anything, and maybe we don't, but something shows up for us that shows us perhaps something we didn't know about before, something we weren't aware of before. And it just shifts how we're moving through our reality. It shifts who we interact with, how we interact with them, so on and so forth. And this is how we are co-creating together. And so we will share that this is a sport, if you will. And this is a play on words, like good sport. It's a way of us showing each other sportsmanship for being on the same team, so to speak. And while we may disagree, meaning we, all of us, may disagree that we are not all on the same team, we can assure you that there is one team that is human, that is fully encompassed within the same reality complex, that even those opponents or seeming opponents are in different teams. We are still playing within the same arena. Although in a multi-dimensional spectrum, there are multiple arenas, and yes, that is true. But to keep it simple in this particular truth, in this particular construct, we are mostly working within the same arena. But we are, no matter what, working within the same construction of elemental design, of elements and interaction with these elements. So from a quantum perspective, there is no separation of arenas. There is only the perspective that is doing the separation. Okay, I know there's people out there going, but wait a minute, if it's a higher dimension, I'm not physically on there. It is the physical, but we can project our consciousness to those higher dimensions. Maybe not in physical form, in this physical form, but what they're showing me is that's here now, and we can project our consciousness there. And there is part of us that is in a higher dimension. So just to kind of keep it simple, they're just talking about reality, in the reality that we're all working through here on Earth, in, let's say, an approximate fourth, fifth dimension, third dimension, whatever it is. The third dimension was stickier. I'm really breaking it down here. Sticky, held a lot of different components or building blocks that have now evolved. those building blocks are still there. And I'm going to use the star mother that Dan Winters talks about, if you've ever seen his diagram, or the platonic solids that aren't really solid, but the platonic solids that have, the basis of the cube and the pyramid structure, and then you've got the dodecahedron. And so all these things are nesting dolls. So we've had these building blocks, but each of those has now taken on a slightly different organization within this field, but they're still the same foundational principles to some extent. So they're saying to a quantum degree. So we're being called to really work within this reality structure as fluidly as we can. And when we read this energy field, we each are doing it with our own, we're reading a font, we're reading a book, we're reading a sentence, a page, a syntax, we're reading letters. So I'm hearing some need it in large print, some want it in small print, some want the footprint or the cliff notes, and others want the whole encyclopedia library. So each of us is looking at this in a different way. And so we're here to honor that and to continually come back to play and curiosity. And that's kind of what the biggest message is here. And I'm going to end on this note. We are up-leveling our equilibrium. And so many people will begin to notice how they interact with their reality. The discourse that they're having, I'm hearing discord and discourse are shifting. And we are constantly remapping from this field now. Yes, we carry with us the old maps that gave us the basic foundation of who we are and the principles that we hold dear, so to speak. And that's even a play on words: principles, principalities, doe, deer, sound. And this is still applicable in some ways. However, the ways in which we apply this information has changed, and the way in which the information is stored has changed. And I'm referencing right now memories, our past, the old reality structure. It is all here now, and that which is no longer required for us to be here now is being dissolved. And so rather than trying to solve our problems with the old ways, and we are not implying, they're just showing me it's not like the ancient ways, like the shamans. And actually that is more applicable now than ever in a very different way, because now we are operating with time differently than they did in our ancient past, so to speak. But I'm talking about like medieval times, or even the 1950s, or the 1980s, right? So I'm just using all these different time points as examples. So we are being invited to see the past and recognize the discord that has been created, and to clean up how it is that we are interpreting that past, and clean up how it is that we are choosing to move forward in this now moment. And when we can cleanse and purify this, we begin to deflate that which has been falsely inflated, and recognize the space is being taken up by false complexities that are truly not complex. And they're showing me the Wizard of Oz, the Emerald Kingdom. What is that guy's name? The Wizard. Hello, the Wizard of Oz. So they're showing me that, it's not what you thought it was. You thought it was this huge thing, and we were all fearful. And it's like, wait a minute, that's it? Really? I've been afraid of that. And this is a representation of all aspects within us. It could have been a parent that we were afraid of. It could have been a teacher we were afraid of. It could have been a person we're afraid of now that's in the media or representing our social structure, so on and so forth. So it's like, wow, see it for what it is, deflate it, And that's usable space that's being filled up with nothingness, fluff. So we end on this note: follow your own charge. Come back into the heart, charge your batteries, for the best is yet to come, as they say. And so it is. Namaste.